infected. We think of this as a smart weapon, and its success will depend on both the state and local public health officials, and most importantly, individuals and families.
Okay, so first of all, he says they're moving on to a second stage. He called it a weapon, and then he specifically says that it is important and particularly families. And notice how he says families.
We need people to isolate themselves, including their household, even before test results come back.
So even before test results come back, isolate yourself.
The fourth is to identify the contacts and quarantine those people who've had contact who may be at risk, even before that they have had a positive test.
Okay, so he's talking about quarantine. He's not talking about voluntary quarantine. He's talking about quarantining them.
The second issue is that we will have testing. They will be reached by phone for the results. And at that time, they will be asked some questions about people with whom they've had contact who might have been infected by this virus. The contact tracer, and I'll talk about who those people are, they're very highly trained people.
So highly trained contact tracers that'll be trained in basically how to connect all these dots with all these people.
The people who were contacted will not know who the person was who provided their name.
Now, people can call in and say, I think so-and-so was sick. These contact tracers will basically enact these laws and these implementations, and no one will know who actually even called in.
And we want to make sure that we have enough resources to get this job done. By the end of this week, we'll have 1,371 people who are fully trained when that is necessary to get this job done. So the people who do this work are very carefully screened.
So he's just emphasizing on the people who are doing this work. And we know a large amount of this work will be being done by the Washington National Guard.
So with that, I'd like to ask Lieutenant Colonel Steve Hobbs to address this issue.
We are so pleased to support the Department of Health in its efforts to push the voluntary COVID-19 mapping program.
Okay, so I want to emphasize that this lieutenant, he's actually not the head of the National Guard, but he is a senator in the Washington legislature. So he's a lieutenant in the National Guard, and he's a senator. Now listen to what Governor Inslee says about these people and the importance of them following orders.
It's just great to have people who understand the discipline and following orders. It's very important in this. I'm glad that we are working in combination with the University of Washington for an app that could be of assistance to people to find out if they have been in the proximity of people who are infected.
So they're working with the University of Washington on basically digitally and through an app, and he'll mention here hardware from Google and Apple, so that they can identify people in restaurants and on the street and whatever it may be, and identify them as possibly having COVID-19, and therefore they can implement forced quarantine.
That app could use some hardware, essentially, and software from Apple and Google. And this is a very promising technology. Obviously, if you have somebody who's become sick and they were sitting right next to a person at a restaurant, to be able to identify that person could be very valuable.
So now he's going to talk about families again. And notice how he talks about those who won't quarantine at their homes. Notice, and then I'm going to make a point after this.
I wanted to talk just a little bit more about the isolation for families involved in this. So that means the household, the family will need to isolate with them. And if a person cannot do that, there will be other isolation facilities for them away from their household.
Okay, so if he cannot, remember, that is not a choice. The way he is saying that is basically that they will be forced, and if they cannot or will not, then there will be other facilities that will be prepared for them to go. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is kind of the main point of this video and thing that really concerns me, and it's not just about the forced quarantines, but it's also about what they are planning on doing with the children that are in the situation of this forced quarantine. Now, I am sad to say that, and I'm getting here right now, that when I was given the understanding by someone in Washington that this was going on in Washington, or getting ready to go on, and then they said to me, and they're going to, there's children, youth and children's quarantine centers, and I said, I don't know if I believe that. I can't believe that they would actually take the children from their parents and put them in quarantine centers with people they don't know, doing things that they don't know, injecting, whatever into their body that their parents don't know. They surely wouldn't do that. And so I said, if you're going to say those things, you better give me some evidence. So they sent me some evidence, and and so I'm going to show it to you, or at least I'm going to read it to you. So if you go to governmentjobs.com, and you'll see that the Washington State Department of Children's, Youth, and Family has posted a job. You can also do it on ZipRecruiter. And you'll see again the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, Families. And this is what the ad for the job position is. DCYF, so the Department of Children, Youth, Family, is seeking current DCYF employees in King, Snohomish, and Benton counties to supervise and support children and youth in emergency quarantine centers. We are looking for current DCYF social services specialists, three S's, to care for children who are either COVID-19 positive or who may have been exposed to COVID-19. There are 3 locations: Cedar Springs Camp, Visitation Center, and Bethel Church. Responsibilities include supervising social service specialists, providing direct care and supervision, assessing and responding appropriately to meet children's needs, and engage in various educational and social activities with residents. I really wish that I was making this up. I really wish that I was making this up.
I wanted to talk just a little bit more about the isolation for families involved in this. So that means the household, the family will need to isolate with them. And if a person cannot do that, there will be other isolation facilities for them away from their household. And one way or another, we got to make sure we take care of people's health. For people.
Yeah. How do you like that? One way or another, we got to take care of people's health. Who cares about their family, their children, their freedom, their job? Who cares as long as they're healthy, right? Now, I want to put this in perspective. You might say, well, Ammon, you're missing the point. No, I'm not missing the point. The Washington COVID-19 death rate is 0.01260669. There's been less than 1,000 people die from COVID-19. That's what the numbers skewed. You know that that's not accurate. That's with them counting pneumonia, flu, all of that. They still only have 908 people that they've claimed died from COVID-19. There's 7.6 million people live in Washington. That's a 0.0212606669%. But hey.
And one way or another, we got to make sure we take care of people's health.
Right? One way or another, we got to take care of people's health. That's the most important thing. Unbelievable.
For people who
now listen, let's go on and listen to this.
For people who finally won't comply, they're going to have to comply eventually. No one's looking to make this a federal crime. The reason we can do the contact tracing is twofold. Number one, we've stood up an army, so to speak, and we now have 1,391 people who on just a couple days' notice can be available to do what's necessary to do this contact tracing. As far as refusal, it just shouldn't come to that, and it really hasn't. And that would be legally enforceable. We would make sure that people know the seriousness of that issue. It's one of the reasons I'm glad we have the Guard, who are very disciplined and follow orders. I'm glad we have Department of Licensing people and the Department of Health. The budget issue, as you know, our preliminary numbers is that we'll be at a, just under $7 billion deficit for the next 3 years, and this can be a real challenge for us.
There's also something very wicked brewing in Washington, D.C. So Washington State and Washington, D.C. And again, I wish I was wrong. But the 116th Congress, that's our Congress right now.
Just want to say that this was for referral use. It was sent to me. It is done by Toms and Signs. Check out their channel. They're the ones that uploaded this, and I'll let him finish talking for just a minute before I end it.
Washington, D.C. is proposing a bill, and it is H.R. Again, it's hard to believe, but it's H.R. 6666. Now I'm going to read you the description at the very first paragraph of this bill. H.R. 6666. To authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units and as necessary at individuals' residence and for other purposes. My friends, I did not read that incorrectly. It is House Bill 666, and it authorizes the Secretary of Health and Human Services to conduct related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units as necessary at individuals' residence and for other purposes.
One way or another, we got to make sure we take care of people's health.
Okay, my friends, this is the line in the sand. I have told...
Everybody knows now about HR 6666. It's actually 4 6s. Everybody knows about the patent of the W02020060606. Guys, I know my channel's not big, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are seeing everything happen. All the signs are being put in place. Our Heavenly Father is sending these signs to us. It is Tom. They're doing the door-to-door. They're telling us everything they're doing. I have uploaded, the last few videos I've uploaded has been them coming out and telling you. They're going after the elderly, and now they're going after the children. I've showed you videos of the sick kids that's came down with mysterious illnesses. Now, I'm going to do a couple of videos on these bills, and we will look at them together, and I will show you how terrible they actually are, guys. They can come and take you and your family, and they're telling you in this video here that it is legal and that they're happy that they have people who are so well trained in case of anyone refusing. It will be mandatory door-to-door, and it is contact tracing. And like they said, anyone could call and say, oh, this person coughed, and then all of a sudden you and all of the family members you have, all of the friends that you have, everyone around you in your neighborhood could go on lockdown because someone wanted to call and start this with you. And like I said, this right now, with all the cyberbullying I'm going through, I mean, this would be something cruel to do to someone, to call and say that this person was coughing, to induce a massive interrogation of everyone in their family, to take their children away, to take everybody. And it said everyone must have their own bathrooms. That means that if you have 3 kids, your kids will be separated. If you have you and your husband will be separated. You will be going through this alone. Why? Because when you are alone, you act out of fear. You don't know no better. No one is there to tell you, no, that's not right. No, you don't need a ventilator. You're not that bad, or anything like that. They are forcing people on these things, making people sign paperwork. People that aren't feeling good, they're not going to sit and read all this paperwork. They just want to get better, get through this, and get out. And if they're in there right now and they have pneumonia, they're already marked as a COVID positive. If they're in there right now with chest pain, they're marked COVID positive. If they're in there right now with a sprained ankle, they're marked COVID positive. Now, there's a floor dedicated to COVID positive, they say. So if you go in the hospital, you're going to the COVID positive floor just to be ruled out. So while you're up there, you're probably going to get it, is what they're saying. I'm just letting you know what they're saying. These are the nurses and doctors that are coming out and talking about all of this stuff. But all of this is laid out very perfectly, as we can see. They're all lining up and stepping into their places, taking their roles. And I said this 3 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. The AI and the algorithm and the frequencies, all of this put together is the beast system rising. It's been rising. I said it 3 years ago. I talked and told every one of y'all what was happening, what they were going to do, how they were going to come in and take everybody, how they were going to do what they're doing now. So I know my videos aren't there because my channel was deleted and I had to start all over. But right now that information would have come in real big for some of y'all who are just now seeing how corrupt this is. Because this guy, the way he's talking, he's seeing it, but you can tell he isn't fully awake. But people are waking up to this. This is tremendous right here. But we need more people. We need to all figure out somehow to come together and not let them do this to us. There's only 1% of them. They're out of all the population. I mean, they have so many people so scared that they don't want to do anything, but there's a lot of us awake. We're all in different cities and different states, and that's why they're not letting us travel. We can't all gather together, and we all can't come together. We're all spread out, and there's no one around you in your area that you feel like you can talk to about any of this. I guarantee it. That's why people come on here, because it's the only way to find people that are truly awake. Now, this video was not mine. I shared this video. This was from Times and Signs News, sent to me by Bill. And the reason I wanted to share it was because I wanted to show people how somebody started waking up by listening and watching and paying attention to things and just using common sense. This guy literally stops it and talks to you. And if you have not woke up to this corruption and seen everything for what it is yet, maybe this will be one of them little stepping stools to help you and plant that seed to get you to look in. Now I'm going to go, and I'm probably not going to go to bed tonight, so I'm going to be up, and I'm going to start breaking down some of these documents for y'all. It needs to get out because I don't know how long we have. We might not have this platform much longer. We might not even have tomorrow. They could come knock on any one of our doors, okay? Like, you could go tomorrow, or you could go tomorrow. Everyone that listens to this, any one of y'all could go tomorrow. I'm, outside. I don't have a door for them to come to. So, I could be gone tomorrow. No one would ever know. No one cares. So, guys, it's time we start figuring something out. Quit talking about everything. Start figuring it out. Come together. Let's get some things done. Let's all. I showed you the plant videos. I've showed as much as I can. I'm going to do some more before I get taken or any of us get taken. I'm trying. God bless you all. Stay safe. And put on the full armor of God. And remember, with that full armor of God, you got to have your sword. And you got to have your Bible right there, the Word. You got to have that. You're nothing without your sword. And you got to let God have your back. God bless you.